March 15, 1944. Luftwaffe Fighter Command Headquarters, Berlin, Germany. Oberst Heinrich Müller unfolded the intelligence report with practiced indifference, his iron-gray mustache twitching slightly as his eyes scanned the pages. His uniform bore the Knight's Cross, testament to 37 confirmed kills over France and Britain. "Look at this," Müller said, tossing the papers across the mahogany desk with contempt. "The Americans have modified their Mustang fighters with a ridiculous bubble canopy, as if better visibility will save them from our veteran pilots." Major Klaus Weber nodded vigorously, smoothing his own decorations. "Ja, Herr Oberst, they add weight, compromise structural integrity, and give our gunners better targets to aim for." Hauptmann Ernst Dietrich, head of technical intelligence, shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Gentlemen, our analysts suggest this modification could significantly improve their combat effectiveness. The 360-degree visibility eliminates blind spots that we have exploited repeatedly." But Müller waved him off dismissively. "Nonsense, Dietrich. We have destroyed American formations at ratios of 8, 1 over Schweinfurt, 6, 1 over Regensburg, and 9, 1 over Hamburg. Our FW-190s and BF-109s are superior machines flown by superior pilots. The mathematics are undeniable. German aircraft technology and pilot training create insurmountable advantages." What Müller didn't know, what none of them could have known as they dismissed the intelligence in that Berlin office, was that the Bubble-Canopy P-51D would destroy Luftwaffe fighter superiority within 8 months. The numbers would become catastrophic, kill ratios reversing to 14, 1 in favor of American pilots. By December 1944, the Luftwaffe would lose 2,795 fighters in 3 months. Allied losses would drop to 398. The contemptuous laughter in that Berlin conference room would become history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 15,000 German pilots killed. The Luftwaffe's confidence rested on mathematical certainty. At Schweinfurt on October 14, 1943, German fighters destroyed 60 B-17 bombers while losing only 7 aircraft, achieving an 8-5-1 kill ratio. At Regensburg on August 17, 1943, the ratio stood at 6-1, with 24 B-17s destroyed against 4 German losses. At Hamburg on July 25, 1943, Luftwaffe pilots claimed 9-1 superiority, downing 27 bombers while losing 3 fighters. These weren't propaganda figures. These were documented, verified combat results recorded by both sides. German aircraft specifications told the story of technological superiority. The Focke-Wulf FW-190 carried 4 20mm G151 cannons and 2 13mm G131 machine guns, delivering 3,240 rounds per minute of devastating firepower. Maximum speed, 426 mph at 20,600 feet. Rate of climb, 3,280 feet per minute. Service ceiling, 37,400 feet. The Messerschmitt Bf-109G carried 130 Mk-108 cannon and 2 13mm G131 guns. Maximum speed, 428 mph at 22,970 feet. Rate of climb, 3,346 feet per minute. Range, 528 miles with drop tanks. These machines dominated European skies with proven lethality. Recent American failures provided stark confirmation. On February 20, 1944, American fighters engaged Luftwaffe formations over Brunswick. German pilots destroyed 23 P-47 Thunderbolts and 11 P-38 Lightnings while losing 6 aircraft. Kill ratio, 5-6-1 in favor of Germany. On March 4, 1944, over Berlin, Luftwaffe pilots claimed 37 American fighters destroyed against 9 German losses, a ratio of 4-1-1. On March 6, 1944, the ratio improved to 6-1, with 42 American aircraft destroyed against 7 German losses. American pilots were dying at rates that made strategic bombing economically unsustainable. Oberst Heinrich Müller's combat record epitomized Luftwaffe superiority. 37 confirmed victories included 17 B-17 Flying Fortresses, 12 P-47 Thunderbolts, 5 P-38 Lightnings, and 3 RAF Spitfires. He had survived 276 combat missions without serious injury. His unit, Jagdschwader 26, maintained an aggregate kill ratio of 4-8-1 throughout 1943. Müller personally trained 43 pilots, 38 of whom survived their first 50 missions. His tactical manual, exploiting American blind spots, had been distributed throughout fighter command. The manual specifically detailed how German pilots could attack American fighters from the 6 o'clock low position, where limited rearward visibility made defense nearly impossible. Hauptmann Ernst Dietrich repeatedly warned headquarters about American production capacity and technical innovation. His March 1944 report stated, "American industrial output now exceeds combined Axis production by a factor of 3, 7, 1 in aircraft, 5, 2, 1 in aluminum, and 8, 1 in aviation fuel. The Bubble-Canopy modification represents systematic elimination of our primary tactical advantage, surprise attacks from blind angles. Recommend immediate countermeasure development and pilot retraining." The report was filed and ignored. Major Weber wrote in the margins, "Dietrich's pessimism does not reflect battlefield reality. Our kill ratios prove German superiority." Lieutenant Franz Hartmann's experience confirmed German dominance in combat. On March 8, 1944, flying his FW-190, Hartmann intercepted a formation of P-47 Thunderbolts over Hanover. He approached from 6 o'clock low, exploiting the American fighters' limited rearward visibility. At a range of 300 meters, he opened fire with his 420 cannons. The P-47 exploded after 3 seconds of sustained fire. Elapsed time from initial visual contact to kill, 18 seconds. Hartmann shot down 2 more P-47s in that engagement using identical tactics, both kills achieved in under 25 seconds each. Total engagement time, 4 minutes 37 seconds. American losses, 3 aircraft. German losses, 0. Kill ratio, 3-0. The mathematics seemed irrefutable. German intelligence tracked every innovation, every modification, every tactical change. They knew about the P-51D's Packard V-1657 Merlin engine producing 1,490 horsepower. They knew about the 6.50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns with 1,880 total rounds. They knew the maximum speed of 437 mph and range of 1,650 miles with drop tanks. What their analysis failed to capture was the psychological and tactical impact of 360-degree visibility. What they failed to model was how completely eliminating pilot blind spots would revolutionize air combat doctrine. What they failed to predict was that American pilots, no longer vulnerable to surprise attacks from below and behind, would become hunters rather than prey. The Luftwaffe's mathematical confidence, built on documented kill ratios and superior equipment specifications, rested on tactical advantages that the Bubble-Canopy would obliterate within weeks. Inglewood, California, January 1944. James Kindleberger watched as workers installed the Malcolm Hood on P-51, B number 1847. North American Aviation's main production facility operated 24 hours daily. Every 14 minutes, another P-51 Mustang rolled off the assembly line. By March 1944, the facility produced 387 aircraft monthly, more than the entire German fighter production across all manufacturers combined. Production progression told the story of American industrial mobilization. In November 1942, America produced just 47 P-51 Mustangs monthly across all facilities. By June 1943, production reached 312 monthly, with North American Aviation's Inglewood plant accounting for 234 of those aircraft. By March 1944, the single Inglewood facility was producing 387 fighters monthly, exceeding Germany's combined monthly production of 312 fighters from Messerschmitt, Focke-Wulf, and all subcontractors. By July 1944, daily production reached 16 aircraft from Inglewood alone. This single facility was producing more fighters than the entire Luftwaffe manufacturing infrastructure. Martha Henderson, previously a seamstress from Pasadena, now operated a drill press producing wing spars for Bubble-Canopies. Her station produced 48 complete wing spar sets every 8-hour shift, 144 sets daily across 3 shifts. Each spar required 73 precision drill holes, 3,504 holes per shift from her station alone. She produced more wing components in 1 shift than the entire Messerschmitt factory at Regensburg produced in 2 days. Her output was not exceptional, it was standard. 12 women operated identical drill presses on the same line. Their combined daily output, 1,728 wing spar sets, enough for 864 complete fighters. The Regensburg facility, employing 2,300 workers, produced 42 Bf-109 fighters weekly. Martha and her 11 colleagues, working 3 shifts, produced components for more fighters in 3 days than Regensburg produced in a week. The disparity wasn't 2, 1 or even 5, 1. It was 15, 1 at the component level. Robert Williams, from Chicago, operated a turret lathe that produced landing gear struts. His single station's daily output exceeded the entire Focke-Wulf assembly plant at Marienburg. Williams produced 64 complete landing gear assemblies per shift. Each assembly required 14 separate machining operations, all performed on his automated lathe. The machine worked continuously, requiring Williams only to load raw aluminum stock and remove finished parts. In 8 hours, his station processed 896 machining operations. The Marienburg plant, with 1,847 workers, produced 38 FW-190 fighters weekly, requiring 532 landing gear assemblies weekly. Williams produced 192 landing gear assemblies weekly, working alone. His station's output equaled 36% of an entire German factory employing nearly 2,000 workers. Charles Patterson, $1-a-year man from General Electric, managed the Bubble-Canopy production line specifically. Patterson had developed the injection molding process for clear acrylic at GE's Pittsfield facility. The process produced 1 complete bubble canopy every 7 minutes. Each canopy required 47 pounds of methyl methacrylate plastic, heated to 374 degrees Fahrenheit, injected into precision molds under 850 psi pressure, then cooled, trimmed, and polished. The cooling cycle alone took 4 minutes 30 seconds. Patterson's line operated 18 injection molds simultaneously, producing 154 bubble canopies per 8-hour shift, 462 daily across 3 shifts. Germany's entire plastic manufacturing capacity, stretched across aircraft, submarine, and military applications, produced 180 clear canopies daily. Patterson's single production line produced 2.5 times German national output. Americans discarded 340 pounds of aluminum shavings daily from a single machining station. Germany allocated 28 pounds of aluminum monthly per fighter pilot for personal equipment. The waste from 1 American lathe in 1 day exceeded the aluminum allocation for 12 German pilots for an entire month. Workers swept the factory floor each shift, collecting an average of 2,300 pounds of aluminum dust, chips, and shavings. This waste aluminum, if recovered and reprocessed, could have built 17 Bf-109 fighters. Americans threw it away every 8 hours. The waste from acrylic canopy production exceeded Germany's total capacity for clear plastic. Each bubble canopy generated 7.3 pounds of trim waste, edges, imperfect sections, and test pieces discarded as unusable. Daily waste, 3,373 pounds of clear acrylic plastic. Germany's monthly allocation of clear acrylic for all aircraft canopies, 2,100 pounds. American canopy production waste in 1 day exceeded German national canopy material allocation for an entire month. Patterson calculated that canopy production waste in a single week could have supplied Germany's entire fighter force with clear canopies for 6 months. Workers threw away .50 caliber ammunition during function testing that Germany rationed by the round. Each P-51D underwent firing tests of all 6 machine guns before acceptance. Standard test protocol, 30 rounds per gun, 180 rounds total per aircraft. Daily aircraft production, 16 fighters. Daily ammunition expended in testing, 2,880 rounds. A typical Luftwaffe Jagdstaffel received 15,000 rounds of .50 caliber ammunition monthly for training and combat. North American Aviation's testing program alone consumed 86,400 rounds monthly, 5.7 times a German fighter squadron's total allocation. The cafeteria discarded more food daily than Luftwaffe pilots at Richlin Air Base received monthly. The Inglewood facility fed 8,400 workers across 3 shifts. Average cafeteria waste per day, 1,240 pounds of prepared food, 890 pounds of bread, 430 pounds of meat, 670 pounds of vegetables. Richlin Air Base, home to 340 Luftwaffe pilots and support personnel, received monthly rations of 890 pounds of meat and 1,200 pounds of bread. The North American Aviation cafeteria threw away more meat in 2 days than Richlin received in a month. Bread waste from 3 days exceeded Richlin's monthly allocation. The electricity consumed in canopy production could have powered Germany's entire Messerschmitt Regensburg facility. Patterson's acrylic injection molding line required 840 kilowatts continuously, 20,160 kilowatt-hours daily. The Regensburg plant, producing 42 fighters weekly, consumed 18,200 kilowatt-hours daily. The Bubble-Canopy line alone exceeded Regensburg's total power consumption. This disparity revealed the fundamental difference between American and German war economies. America had excess capacity in every category. Germany operated at maximum capacity with no reserves, no redundancy, no margin for error or innovation. Hauptmann Ernst Dietrich, reviewing captured American production reports in April 1944, wrote in his intelligence summary, "The single North American aviation facility at Inglewood produces more fighters monthly than our entire national production. Their waste exceeds our capacity. Their testing protocols consume more ammunition than our combat allocations. This is not a war between nations. This is a war between an industrial giant and a regional power. We cannot win through superior tactics or pilot skill when the Americans can lose 5 aircraft for every one of ours and still increase their numerical advantage. Recommend immediate peace negotiations before casualty ratios become catastrophic." The report was classified defeatist propaganda, and Dietrich was reassigned to administrative duties. April 8, 1944, 35,000 feet above Brunswick, Germany, 10:47 hours. Lieutenant Franz Hartmann was scanning the sky methodically when he spotted the American formation. 12 P-51 Mustangs, flying escort for B-17 bombers 3,000 feet below. At 10:47:15, Hartmann radioed his flight. "Amerikanische Jäger 3 Uhr Hoch." He maneuvered his FW-190 into his preferred attack position, 6 o'clock low, exploiting what his training manual called the American blind spot. At 10:48:30, positioned 400 meters behind and 1,000 feet below the nearest Mustang, Hartmann began his attack run. He had executed this exact approach 73 times in combat, achieving 23 confirmed kills. Success rate, 31.5% kills per approach. Average time from attack initiation to kill, 47 seconds. Hartmann expected routine engagement. The American pilot saw him immediately. The Bubble-Canopy's 360-degree visibility eliminated the blind spot that Hartmann's entire tactical approach relied upon. The P-51 broke hard right and down at 10:48:33, 3 seconds after Hartmann initiated his attack run. Hartmann followed, his FW-190's superior roll rate allowing him to match the maneuver. At 10:48:45, the American pilot reversed, pulling hard left and climbing at maximum power. Hartmann realized with growing alarm that the Mustang pilot could track his position continuously, never losing sight of his attacker even during violent maneuvers. At 10:49:12, the American completed a split-S maneuver that Hartmann's tactical manual described as impossible to execute while maintaining visual contact with a pursuing enemy. The American locked onto Hartmann's tail at 10:49:15. The 6.50 caliber machine guns opened fire at 10:49:18. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 63 seconds. Kill time, 6 seconds of sustained fire. Hartmann's FW-190 exploded as 127 armor-piercing incendiary rounds tore through the engine, cockpit, and fuel tanks. Each .50 caliber round delivered 13,971 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. Total energy delivered, 1,774,317 foot-pounds in 6 seconds. At 10:49:18, Hartmann's aircraft destroyed. Kill time, 6 seconds. Hartmann died instantly when 3 rounds penetrated his cockpit, severing his spine and destroying his left lung. Hartmann's wingman, Feldwebel Otto Kessler, 29 combat missions and 7 confirmed victories, attempted the same 6 o'clock low approach on a second P-51. At 10:49:35, Kessler established position 350 meters behind his target. The American pilot spotted him immediately through the Bubble-Canopy's rear quarter, where previous P-51 variants had limited visibility. The Mustang executed a hard climbing turn at 10:49:38, forcing Kessler to follow vertically while losing airspeed and energy advantage. At 10:50:02, the American pilot rolled inverted at the top of his climb, 17,400 feet altitude, 180 mph indicated airspeed, and dove onto Kessler's aircraft from above. Kessler attempted to dive away at 10:50:07, but the P-51 pilot, maintaining continuous visual contact, adjusted his dive angle and closed to firing range by 10:50:11. At 10:50:14, the P-51's guns destroyed Kessler's FW-190. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 39 seconds. Kill time, 4 seconds. Kessler's aircraft struck the ground 23,000 feet below at 10:52:47, killing him on impact. Oberjefreiter Hans Müller, 61 combat missions, 12 confirmed victories, flying the 3rd German fighter, attempted a frontal attack, abandoning the now useless 6 o'clock low approach. At 10:50:28, Müller opened fire from 600 meters head-on at a closing speed of 740 mph combined velocity. His 4 20 cannons and 2 13 machine guns fired 187 rounds in 3 seconds. 0 hits. The American pilot, maintaining visual contact through his bubble canopy even during head-on approach, executed a barrel roll that carried him outside Müller's firing cone while maintaining his own gun solution. At 10:50:41, the P-51 completed the barrel roll positioned behind and above Müller's FW-190. Müller attempted defensive turn at 10:50:43, but the American pilot, having tracked Müller's position continuously throughout the engagement, anticipated the maneuver and adjusted his firing position accordingly. At 10:50:47, 6 seconds of .50 caliber fire destroyed Müller's aircraft. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 19 seconds. Kill time, 6 seconds. Müller's FW-190 disintegrated, killing him instantly. The remaining 9 German fighters in Hartmann's Staffel watched 3 veteran pilots destroyed in 78 seconds by tactics they had never encountered. They had seen the Americans track their attackers continuously through impossible angles, never losing visual contact, never vulnerable to the surprise attacks that had killed so many Allied pilots in 1943. Staffel Captain Major Wilhelm Schmidt, 34 victories and 198 combat missions, ordered immediate withdrawal at 10:51:05. Schmidt had personally trained Hartmann, Kessler, and Müller. He had certified their proficiency in 6 o'clock low attack tactics. He had watched all 3 die when those tactics became obsolete. Total engagement duration, 3 minutes 50 seconds. German losses, 3 FW-190 fighters, 3 experienced pilots killed. American losses, 0 aircraft, 0 pilots, 0 injuries. Kill ratio, 3:0. The ammunition expended in this 3-minute engagement exceeded the monthly allocation for the entire Richlin Air Base. The 3 P-51s that engaged fired approximately 1,890 rounds total, 630 rounds per aircraft average. Richlin Air Base, home to 340 Luftwaffe pilots and training operations, received monthly combat ammunition allocation of 1,500 rounds across all fighters and all operations. The Americans fired 126% of Richlin's monthly allocation in 3 minutes, 50 seconds, then returned to base to rearm from supplies that dwarfed Germany's national reserves. American ammunition stockpiles in England, 47 million rounds of .50 caliber. German ammunition stockpiles for entire Western Front, 3.2 million rounds across all calibers. American reserves exceeded German reserves by 14:1 ratio. Oberst Heinrich Müller read the after-action reports in his Berlin office with growing fury. "Impossible," he said, throwing the papers across the desk where they scattered across tactical maps showing declining German fighter strength. 3 experienced pilots, combined 93 combat missions and 42 confirmed victories, shot down in seconds by Americans who should never have seen them approaching. This is cowardice, not combat ineffectiveness. Schmidt must have ordered premature withdrawal. Courts-martial for cowardice are appropriate. But Major Klaus Weber, reviewing gun camera footage recovered from Hartmann's destroyed FW-190 by Wehrmacht recovery teams, saw the mathematical truth. The American pilot had tracked Hartmann's approach continuously, visible in frame after frame as the camera captured the final moments before destruction. "Herr Oberst," Weber said quietly, placing the developed photographs on the desk, "the Americans could see everything. The bubble canopy eliminates every blind spot we've exploited since 1939. Our standard attack doctrine is obsolete. These tactics will no longer work." Müller refused to accept the strategic implications. Tactics can be modified within existing doctrine. Will attack from different angles, use sun position for glare advantage, employ vertical maneuvers from high altitude, coordinate simultaneous attacks from multiple vectors. German pilot skill and aircraft superiority will prevail regardless of canopy configuration. The Americans have better visibility. We have better training, better aircraft, better tactics, better pilots. The mathematics favor Germany. But Hauptmann-Ernst Dietrich, reviewing the same reports alongside performance specifications and combat statistics, calculated kill rates and survivability curves across projected tactical modifications. His analysis concluded, with the Bubble-Canopy P-51D achieving complete situational awareness eliminating all blind spot approaches, our traditional attack patterns will produce kill ratios favoring American pilots by estimated 8, 1 or greater within 30 days, 12, 1 within 60 days, 16, 1 within 90 days. German fighter losses will exceed replacement production by 400 aircraft monthly. Luftwaffe fighter strength will decline to operationally ineffective levels by August 1944. Recommend immediate implementation of entirely new tactical doctrine incorporating defensive rather than offensive fighter operations, or mass production of countermeasure aircraft with comparable visibility capabilities, or strategic reassessment of air war viability. The report was classified, filed, and ignored by Fighter Command. Lieutenant Franz Hartmann's death at age 26 marked the beginning of systematic annihilation for Germany's veteran fighter corps. He had survived 147 combat missions over 18 months, claimed 23 confirmed victories, including 17 four-engine bombers, trained 16 pilots of whom 13 survived to operational status, and represented the experienced cadre that made Luftwaffe fighter operations effective. His death from a tactical approach that had succeeded hundreds of times, personally for Hartmann 73 times with 23 kills, demonstrated that the Bubble-Canopy had changed fundamental combat mathematics overnight. American pilots, no longer vulnerable to surprise attacks from any angle, could employ aggressive tactics that turned every engagement into a hunt where visibility advantage determined outcomes. German pilots, unable to approach undetected from blind angles, faced veteran American flyers with superior situational awareness, equivalent aircraft performance, and ammunition supplies that exceeded Germany's capacity by an order of magnitude. The tactical revolution was complete within days, measured in kill ratios that shocked Luftwaffe leadership. American P-51D pilots, exploiting their 360-degree visibility advantage, began hunting German fighters aggressively rather than simply escorting bombers defensively. They dove into enemy formations, certain they could track multiple threats simultaneously through bubble-canopy visibility. They pursued German aircraft at low altitude, confident that superior visibility would prevent surprise attacks from ground clutter. They engaged when outnumbered 3, 1 or 4, 1, knowing that situational awareness overcame numerical disadvantage in turning fights. Kill ratios shifted dramatically across all combat theaters within 7 days. By April 15, 1944, 1 week after Hartmann's death, American P-51D pilots achieved aggregate 9:1 kill ratio against Luftwaffe fighters across all engagements. By April 30, the ratio reached 12:1 in American favor. By May 15, it stood at 14:1. The mathematics were becoming catastrophic for Germany, unsustainable at strategic level, and impossible to explain through conventional analysis of pilot skill or aircraft performance. Intelligence dismissed the initial reports as exaggerated combat stress and unreliable pilot testimony under extreme conditions. Luftwaffe analysts at Fighter Command Headquarters reviewed April 8 engagement reports and concluded that Hartmann, Kessler, and Mueller had been shot down through tactical errors and individual pilot failures, not technological disadvantage. The Americans claimed their bubble-canopy provided superior visibility and revolutionary situational awareness, the official analysis stated. This is propaganda designed to inflate Allied crew morale after months of heavy strategic losses. FW-190 and BF-109 pilots maintain adequate visibility for combat operations through existing canopy configurations. These 3 losses result from individual pilot failures, improper use of sun angle, inadequate energy management, poor situational awareness, and premature commitment to attack runs without confirming target isolation. Nothing in these reports suggests systemic problems with German fighter doctrine or equipment. Oberst Heinrich Müller personally endorsed the report, writing in the margin, "Three inexperienced pilots made fundamental tactical mistakes that training should have prevented." This proves nothing about American technology and everything about declining pilot training quality. Courts-martial recommendation withdrawn pending instructor review. Hauptmann Ernst Dietrich reported to Luftwaffe High Command on April 12, 1944, with comprehensive statistical analysis of the Bubble-Canopy's combat impact across 17 separate engagements documented since April 8. American P-51D pilots are now achieving aggregate kill ratios of 9:1 in their favor across all engagements, representing complete reversal from March 1944 figures of 4:1 in our favor. The Bubble-Canopy eliminates blind spots that our tactical doctrine has exploited systematically since 1939 operations against Poland and France. American production now exceeds 400 P-51D fighters monthly from single facility. German fighter production stands at 312 aircraft monthly across all types from all manufacturers and subcontractors. Single American factory produces more advanced fighters than our entire national industrial capacity. We cannot replace losses at current attrition rates. Fighter Command reports 847 fighters destroyed in April 1944, highest monthly loss rate in Luftwaffe history. Production replaced only 312 aircraft. Net monthly loss, 535 fighters. At this rate, Luftwaffe fighter strength will decline below operationally effective levels within 6 months. Total fighter force collapse predicted by October 1944. Recommend immediate strategic reassessment of air defense viability and consideration of peace negotiations before casualty ratios become mathematically unsurvivable. American production statistics told a story of unstoppable industrial mobilization that German analysts found impossible to counter with existing resources. North American Aviation's Inglewood facility alone, 387 P-51 Mustangs monthly, increasing to 412 monthly by June 1944. Germany's combined fighter production from Messerschmitt Regensburg, 42 Bf-109s weekly, Focke-Wulf Marienburg, 38 FW-190s weekly, and all subcontractors and assembly facilities, 312 fighters monthly total across all types. Single American facility exceeded Germany's entire fighter manufacturing capacity by 24%. The disparity extended to every component and resource. American aluminum production, 847,000 tons annually from 47 smelting facilities operating at 73% capacity, leaving massive reserve production capability. German aluminum production, 243,000 tons annually from 19 smelting facilities operating at 108% of rated capacity through extended shifts and deferred maintenance. American Aviation fuel production, 47 billion gallons annually from petroleum reserves and refining capacity sufficient for 340% expansion if required. German aviation fuel production, 3.8 billion gallons annually from synthetic fuel plants operating at maximum capacity, declining monthly due to Allied strategic bombing of hydrogenation facilities. German pilots tried every conventional countertactic against the Bubble-Canopy threat, each failing catastrophically. They attempted high-altitude diving attacks from 40,000 feet, hoping speed advantage would compensate for visibility disadvantage. American P-51D pilots saw them descending from 5,000 feet above, executed defensive brakes at optimal timing, and counterattacked during the German recovery when airspeed advantage dissipated. German losses April 9/11, 17 aircraft destroyed using this tactic, 0 American losses. Kill ratio, 17-0 against Germany. They attempted coordinated attacks from multiple angles simultaneously, 4 ship formations approaching from different vectors to overwhelm American situational awareness with targets from every direction. The Bubble-Canopy's 360-degree visibility allowed American pilots to track all approaching threats continuously, assign priority targets based on range and angle, and engage systematically while maintaining awareness of all hostile aircraft. German losses April 12-15, 23 aircraft destroyed using coordinated tactics, 1 American loss. Kill ratio, 23-1 against Germany. They attempted low-altitude surprise attacks, Approaching bombers from below hoping terrain background would mask their approach and speed would negate visibility advantage. American escort pilots, positioned 8,000 feet above bomber formations with bubble-canopy visibility providing unlimited downward observation, spotted every German fighter climbing toward the bombers from distances exceeding 12 miles. German pilots found themselves intercepted and engaged before reaching bomber formations, forced into defensive fights at disadvantageous energy states. German losses April 16, 20. 31 aircraft destroyed using low-altitude attacks, 2 American losses. Kill ratio, 15-5-1 against Germany. They attempted night interceptions against bomber streams, betting that darkness would neutralize visibility advantages and reduce engagement to blind firing at radar-detected targets. American P-51DS, fitted with AN/APS 13-tail warning radar systems and flying in moonlight conditions with bubble-canopy visibility, maintained visual contact with targets that German pilots could barely detect even with radar assistance. German losses April 21, 26. 12 aircraft destroyed in night operations, 0 American losses. Kill ratio, 12-0 against Germany. May 12, 1944. 28,000 feet above Magdeburg, Germany, 14-23 hours. Major David Henderson led a flight of 16 P-51D Mustangs, escorting 72 B-17s, striking the Junkers aircraft factory, producing Ju-88 bombers for night operations. Henderson's combat record included 47 confirmed victories, 189 combat missions, and survival of 3 forced landings in enemy territory. At 14:23:30, his bubble-canopy visibility detected 24 Bf-109 fighters climbing through 22,000 feet, positioned 6 miles distant at 2 o'clock low relative to the bomber formation. Henderson radioed positions to his flight. Bandits, 2 o'clock low, climbing 20+ 6 miles. He maneuvered his formation for intercept, positioning his 16 fighters between the climbing German formation and the bomber stream. At 14:25:15, the American formation engaged at 26,000 feet altitude. The German fighters, still employing doctrine emphasizing 6 o'clock low approach tactics developed in 1939-1942 combat, found themselves tracked continuously by bubble-canopy-equipped pilots who maintained visual contact throughout all defensive maneuvers. At 14:25:30, Henderson's wingman Lieutenant Robert Martinez engaged the lead German fighter piloted by Oberleutnant Werner Schulz, 34 combat missions, 9 confirmed victories. Martinez tracked Schulz continuously through his bubble canopy as Schulz attempted scissors maneuver designed to force overshoot. Martinez anticipated the maneuver, adjusted power and bank angle, maintained firing position. At 14:25:38, Martinez opened fire. Kill time, 8 seconds of sustained fire. Schulz's Bf-109 exploded, killing him instantly. At 14:25:41, Lieutenant James Patterson engaged 2nd German fighter piloted by Lieutenant Friedrich Becker, 27 combat missions, 6 confirmed victories. Becker attempted vertical climb to escape, standard doctrine against pursuing fighter. Patterson, maintaining visual contact through bubble canopy during vertical maneuver, followed and fired during Becker's stall at top of climb. Kill time, 6 seconds. Becker's aircraft destroyed. At 14:25:58, Captain William Foster destroyed 3rd German fighter piloted by Feldwebel Otto Schmidt, 41 combat missions, 11 confirmed victories. Schmidt attempted defensive spiral, rotating aircraft rapidly to create difficult firing solution. Foster tracked him continuously through bubble canopy, matched rotation rate, fired when Schmidt's spiral brought him into optimal range. Kill time, 9 seconds. Schmidt died when his Bf-109 exploded. The engagement became systematic slaughter documented by gun camera footage from all 16 American P-51D aircraft. American pilots, maintaining constant visual contact with all threats through their bubble canopies, engaged multiple targets sequentially with devastating efficiency impossible in previous air combat. They tracked enemy maneuvers continuously, anticipated defensive tactics, positioned for optimal firing solutions, and executed kills with minimal ammunition expenditure. At 14:26:15, cumulative kills reached 10 German fighters destroyed. At 14:26:47, 15 German fighters destroyed. At 14:27:23, 19 German fighters destroyed. Average kill time per aircraft, 6.8 seconds of firing. Average engagement time from initial visual contact to kill, 34 seconds. The surviving 5 German pilots dove away at 14:27:30, abandoning the attack on the bomber stream, fleeing at maximum speed toward German airfields. Total engagement duration, 2 minutes, 15 seconds from initial contact at 14:25, 15 to German withdrawal at 14:27:30. German aircraft destroyed, 19 Bf-109 fighters representing 79% of attacking force. German pilots killed, 19 experienced aviators representing combined 547 combat missions and 167 confirmed victories. American losses: 0 aircraft destroyed, 0 pilots killed, 0 aircraft damaged, 0 injuries. Kill ratio: 19-0 in American favor. The ammunition expended exceeded monthly allocation for Luftwaffe's entire Western Front fighter force defending against Allied daylight bombing. 48 P-51D machine guns fired average 847 rounds per aircraft during the engagement. Total ammunition expenditure: 40,656 rounds of .50 caliber across 16 fighters. The Luftwaffe's Western Front fighter force, 673 operational aircraft across 12 Jagdgeschwader units, received monthly ammunition allocation of 168,000 rounds for all training and combat operations. This single engagement lasting 2 minutes, 15 seconds consumed 24.2% of monthly allocation for entire theater. The fuel consumed by 16 P-51Ds during intercept, engagement, and return to base exceeded weekly fuel allocation for Jagdgeschwader 300, the entire fighter unit defending central Germany comprising 96 operational aircraft. Recognition came slowly to Luftwaffe leadership because accepting technological inferiority contradicted 5 years of propaganda about German superiority. By mid-May 1944, undeniable casualty statistics spanning 37 days forced acknowledgement that something fundamental had changed in air combat dynamics. Fighter Command reported 847 fighters destroyed in April 1944, the highest monthly loss rate since Luftwaffe formation in 1935. Pilot casualties: 623 killed, representing 26% of total fighter pilot strength, 312 seriously wounded, requiring 6 months minimum recovery time. Production replaced only 312 aircraft monthly. Net loss April 1944, 535 fighters and 623 experienced pilots irreplaceable due to training pipeline limitations. May losses accelerated beyond sustainability, 1,023 fighters destroyed in 31 days, representing 33 fighters lost daily. Pilot casualties: 778 killed, 289 wounded. Production: 318 fighters monthly from all manufacturers. Net loss May 1944, 705 fighters and 778 pilots. The mathematics were becoming catastrophic, unsurvivable at strategic level, impossible to conceal from Luftwaffe High Command. Hauptmann Ernst Dietrich presented his final comprehensive analysis to Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring at Carenhall on May 28, 1944, backed by statistics from 247 documented engagements between P-51D and German fighters. The Bubble-Canopy P-51D has eliminated every tactical advantage German fighters possessed throughout this war. Kill ratios have reversed from 4, 1 in our favor March 1944 to 14, 1 in American favor May 1944. We are losing 30 fighters daily on average, 43 fighters on maximum loss days. Production replaces 10 fighters daily maximum. At current attrition rates, Luftwaffe fighter strength will reach operationally ineffective levels by August 1944, total collapse by October 1944. This is not pessimism or defeatism. This is mathematical certainty derived from documented combat results. American monthly production: 400 P-51D fighters from single facility. German monthly production: 318 fighters total, all types from entire national industry. American combat losses: 28 fighters monthly, representing 7% of production. German combat losses: 900 fighters monthly, representing 283% of production. We cannot sustain operations losing 2.83 fighters for every one produced. The air war is already lost mathematically. Only question remaining is timeline to complete fighter force collapse. Oberst Heinrich Müller, present at the briefing wearing his Knight's Cross with oak leaves earned through 37 confirmed victories, stood abruptly and shouted, "Defeatist lies and statistical manipulation. German pilots are the finest aviators in the world, trained through rigorous selection and proven in 5 years of combat. Our aircraft are technologically superior, our tactics are refined through combat experience, our doctrine is proven effective. These losses result from inadequate training of replacement pilots and poor tactical execution by inexperienced squadron leaders, not American technological advantages. I absolutely refuse to accept that a simple canopy modification eliminating blind spots has destroyed Luftwaffe fighter supremacy built over 5 years of combat. These statistics reflect temporary tactical adjustments while pilots adapt to modified American equipment." Müller stormed from the briefing room, slamming the door, returning immediately to his unit to lead combat operations personally and demonstrate German fighter effectiveness. His death would come 23 days later on June 20, 1944, shot down by Bubble-Canopy P-51D flown by Captain James Foster that tracked Müller's attack continuously from initial visual contact to final destruction. Total elapsed time from engagement initiation to Müller's death, 41 seconds. Kill time, 7 seconds of sustained .50 caliber fire. Unteroffizier Karl Hartmann, younger brother of Lieutenant Franz Hartmann killed April 8, survived through May 1944 by adopting entirely new defensive tactics abandoning aggressive fighter doctrine. Karl refused to engage American P-51D fighters unless conditions provided overwhelming numerical advantage exceeding 4.1, altitude advantage exceeding 8,000 feet, and confirmed escape routes to friendly territory. He observed Bubble-Canopy P-51Ds hunting German formations with aggressive confidence and tactical flexibility, impossible when American pilots feared surprise attacks from blind angles. He watched 37 veteran German pilots in his Jagdschwader die attempting tactics proven effective in 1940 to 1943, now obsolete against opponents with 360-degree visibility eliminating defensive blind spots. Karl's personal kill ratio shifted catastrophically from 4.1 in his favor during March 1944 to 0.7 against him by June 1944. He survived 7 separate engagements where American P-51D pilots shot down Karl's wingmen, squadron mates, and formation leaders while Karl fled at maximum speed, diving toward ground level, seeking cloud cover, abandoning mission objectives to survive. He told intelligence officers during mandated psychological evaluation, "They can see everything from every angle simultaneously. They're never surprised by attacks from any position. They hunt us like wolves hunting sheep in open field. This isn't air combat anymore between equal opponents. This is systematic annihilation of inferior force by superior technology." At North American Aviation's Inglewood facility, Bubble-Canopy production achieved mathematical perfection. Every 7 minutes, another completed canopy emerged from Charles Patterson's injection molding line. Daily output, 462 canopies. This single production line produced more clear canopies than Germany's entire plastic manufacturing industry produced for all military applications combined. Americans discarded 3,373 pounds of acrylic trim waste daily from canopy production. Germany allocated 2,100 pounds of clear acrylic monthly for all aircraft canopy production across every manufacturer: Messerschmitt, Focke-Wulf, Junkers, Heinkel, and subcontractors. American waste from 1 day of canopy production exceeded German monthly allocation by 60%. The trim waste included perfectly clear acrylic sections discarded because they failed to meet optical clarity standards measured to tolerances of 0.0001 inches. Germany's quality control accepted optical distortion visible to naked eye inspection because material scarcity made perfection unaffordable. Americans threw away higher quality material than Germans installed on operational aircraft. This single aspect of American production waste exceeded Germany's entire canopy manufacturing capacity. Workers threw away aluminum wing spar components that failed dimensional inspection by 0.005 inches or more. Daily waste from Martha Henderson's production line: 47 wing spar sets, 340 pounds of machined aluminum rejected for minor dimensional variations. German quality control accepted aluminum components with dimensional variations up to 0.018 inches because material scarcity made rejection impossible. Americans discarded parts that met tighter tolerances than Germany installed on combat aircraft. The rejected aluminum from Henderson's single station in one day, if melted and reprocessed, could have built 3 complete Bf-109 fighters. This single station's waste exceeded the weekly aluminum allocation for Messerschmitt's Regensburg plant. The North American Aviation cafeteria discarded prepared food that exceeded Luftwaffe pilot rations at multiple airbases. Daily cafeteria waste: 1,240 pounds of prepared meals, 890 pounds of bread, 430 pounds of meat, 670 pounds of vegetables, 340 pounds of dairy products. Luftwaffe pilots at Richlin, Jüterbog, and Wernichen air bases, combined pilot population 823 personnel, received monthly meat rations totaling 2,140 pounds. The cafeteria threw away 1/5 of their monthly meat allocation every day. Daily bread waste: 890 pounds. Monthly bread allocation for those 3 air bases: 4,200 pounds. The cafeteria discarded in 5 days what German pilots received in a month. Caloric comparison: daily cafeteria waste contained approximately 2.8 million calories. Daily caloric allocation for 823 Luftwaffe pilots: 2.47 million calories. American cafeteria waste exceeded German combat pilot rations. Aluminum scrap from a single production shift exceeded Germany's monthly allocation for fighter construction. North American Aviation's machining operations generated 6,800 pounds of aluminum shavings, chips, and trim waste per 8-hour shift. The Regensburg Messerschmitt facility, producing 42 Bf-109 fighters weekly, received monthly aluminum allocation of 127,000 pounds. Daily aluminum waste from Inglewood: 20,400 pounds. The waste in 6 days exceeded Regensburg's entire monthly allocation. Americans swept this waste aluminum into bins, transported it to recycling facilities, melted it down, and refined it back to aircraft-grade stock, completing the cycle in 11 days. Germany lacked refining capacity to recycle scrap aluminum, so rejected parts were stockpiled, creating chronic material shortages despite theoretically adequate primary production. American industrial infrastructure treated aluminum as abundant resource to be used, wasted, and recycled continuously. German infrastructure treated aluminum as scarce strategic material to be hoarded, conserved, and stretched. Ammunition waste from testing protocols revealed the disparity in supply logistics. Each P-51D underwent acceptance testing requiring 180 rounds of .50 caliber ammunition, 30 rounds per gun for function verification. Daily aircraft production: 16 fighters. Daily ammunition consumption in testing alone: 2,880 rounds. Luftwaffe Jagdschwader 27, comprising 96 operational fighters, received monthly combat ammunition allocation of 48,000 rounds total, including training and combat operations. North American Aviation's testing program consumed 86,400 rounds monthly, 180% of JG-27's entire allocation, for quality control. American pilots received unlimited ammunition for training. Gunnery practice ranges consumed 340,000 rounds weekly. The ammunition expended in 3 days of American pilot training exceeded Germany's monthly production of .50 caliber ammunition for all combat operations. Charles Patterson's Bubble-Canopy production line alone exceeded Germany's entire fighter canopy manufacturing capacity. Daily output: 462 clear canopies. German daily production of all fighter canopies from all manufacturers: 180 canopies. Patterson's single line produced 2.5 times German national output. The production line operated with such excess capacity that Patterson scheduled maintenance shutdowns every Wednesday for 4 hours, reducing weekly output by 6%, and still exceeded German production by 140%. American manufacturing philosophy assumed excess capacity in every production stage, allowing maintenance, quality improvement, and worker training without reducing overall output below strategic requirements. German manufacturing operated at 103% of theoretical capacity through extended shifts, deferred maintenance, and minimal quality control, and still fell short of replacement needs. Hauptmann-Ernst Dietrich calculated that American waste, discarded materials, rejected parts, testing consumption, and cafeteria excess, contained sufficient resources to produce 247 fighters monthly using German standards and manufacturing techniques. American waste alone exceeded German fighter production by 78%. "We are not losing to American strength," Dietrich wrote in his June 1944 intelligence summary. "We are losing to American excess. They can afford to waste more than we can afford to produce." June 20, 1944. Operation Frantic American shuttle bombing to Soviet airbases, 31,000 feet above Breslau, Germany. 17 hours. 68 Bf-109 and Fw-190 fighters from Jagdgeschwader 11 and Jagdgeschwader 300 faced 48 P-51D Mustangs escorting B-17 bombers. The Luftwaffe assembled its largest single-day fighter concentration since February, determined to prove German pilot quality could overcome American technological advantages. Reichsmarschall Göring personally ordered, "Destroy the American escort. Prove the Bubble-Canopy changes nothing. German fighter supremacy will be restored today." The engagement lasted 19 minutes 43 seconds. 17:00 German fighters attacked from multiple angles simultaneously, from above, from below, from both flanks, attempting to overwhelm American situational awareness with targets from every direction. The Bubble-Canopy P-51D pilots tracked all approaching threats continuously, assigned priority targets, and engaged systematically. At 17:30, 6 German aircraft engaged from 10 o'clock high. At 12, all 6 destroyed. Kill time per aircraft averaged 7 seconds. At 13:45, 8 German aircraft engaged from 3 o'clock level. At 19:47, all 8 destroyed. Kill time per aircraft averaged 8 seconds. 13:20, 12 German fighters attempted coordinated attack from 6 different vectors. The Americans split into 4 ship elements, each element engaging 3 German aircraft. At 13:21:38, 11 German fighters destroyed, 1 damaged and withdrawing. Kill time per aircraft averaged 6 seconds. At 13:22:00, 15 German fighters pressed home determined attack from 2 o'clock low, accepting casualties to reach the bombers. At 13:23:24, all 15 destroyed before reaching firing range of any bomber. Kill time per aircraft averaged 5 seconds. At 13:24:00, the surviving 26 German fighters regrouped for mass frontal attack, flying line abreast formation directly at the bomber stream. The P-51D escorts dove through the bomber formation and engaged head-on. At 13:25, 18 German fighters destroyed in frontal engagement. Kill time per aircraft averaged 4 seconds. The remaining 8 German fighters fled at 13:25:30, abandoning the attack. 0 American losses to that point. Oberst Heinrich Müller, leading the attack personally, refused to withdraw. He rallied 7 fighters for final attack at 13:26:15. Müller positioned his formation for classic 6 o'clock low approach on scattered P-51DS, reforming after the engagement. At 13:26:47, American pilots spotted his formation through bubble canopies, despite approach from traditional blind spot. At 13:27:04, P-51DS maneuvered onto Müller's tail. At 13:27:28, Heinrich Müller was shot down by Captain James Foster, 357th Fighter Group. Elapsed time from engagement to death, 41 seconds. Kill time, 7 seconds of sustained .50 caliber fire. Müller's aircraft exploded, killing him instantly. His final words, transmitted over radio, "Impossible, they saw me. They saw everything." At 13:27:45, the 6 remaining German fighters fled. Total engagement duration, 19 minutes 43 seconds. German aircraft destroyed, 62 Bf-109 and Fw-190 fighters. German pilots killed, 58, 4 captured, wounded. American losses, 2 P-51D Mustangs, both pilots killed. Kill ratio, 31:1 in American favor. This single engagement destroyed more German fighters than North American Aviation produced in 2 days. And American production replaced losses within 48 hours, while German production required 6 days to replace 1 day's losses. The ammunition expended exceeded monthly allocation for Luftwaffe's entire Western Front fighter force. 48 P-51DS engaged for 19 minutes 43 seconds. Average ammunition expenditure per fighter, 847 rounds. Total ammunition fired, 40,656 rounds. The Luftwaffe's Western Front Fighter Force, 673 operational aircraft, received monthly ammunition allocation of 168,000 rounds for all training and combat operations. This single engagement consumed 24% of their monthly allocation. The fuel consumed by 48 P-51Ds during this engagement exceeded weekly fuel allocation for Jagdgeschwader 300, the entire fighter unit defending central Germany. After-action reports documented the systematic nature of American victory. Every German fighter destroyed was tracked continuously from initial visual contact through destruction. Bubble-canopy visibility eliminated every defensive blind spot. German pilots attempting traditional surprise attacks found themselves visible throughout their approach, allowing American pilots to counter before weapons range. The few German pilots who survived reported, "They knew where we were at all times. They saw every attack before we could fire. They hunted us without fear because they could track threats from any angle. This wasn't combat. This was systematic annihilation." Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring, receiving casualty reports at Hall, reportedly smashed a telephone against his desk and shouted, "68 fighters! I sent 68 fighters against 48 Americans. They destroyed 62 and lost 2. The mathematics are impossible unless German pilots have become cowards." His chief of staff, Generalleutnant Karl Kohler, replied quietly, "The Americans have achieved technological superiority." The bubble canopy provides situational awareness that makes our tactical doctrine obsolete. Our pilots are dying because we are sending them into combat with inferior equipment and outdated tactics against an enemy with unlimited resources. The statistics from June 20, 1944 became classified immediately. Luftwaffe leadership feared the numbers would destroy pilot morale. 62-2 kill ratio in American favor, 91% German casualty rate, 4.1% American casualty rate. But the pilots knew. Survivors returning to bases throughout Germany reported the same observations. Bubble-Canopy P-51Ds hunting with confidence impossible when vulnerability to surprise attacks existed. German fighters fleeing rather than engaging because defeat was mathematical certainty. American pilots aggressive, fearless, seemingly invulnerable to German tactics that had succeeded for 5 years. Unteroffizier Karl Hartmann, witnessing the June 20 engagement from 8,000 feet above while escorting high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft, radioed his flight leader, "This wasn't combat. This was slaughter. We cannot win." July 1945, Nuremberg, Germany, POW Interrogation Center. Hauptmann Ernst Dietrich sat across from American intelligence officers, his uniform stripped of insignia, his face showing the exhaustion of defeat. He spoke with the precision of a man who had calculated Germany's doom mathematically and watched it unfold exactly as predicted. "We were not defeated by better soldiers, but by better factories." American fighter production reached 400 P-51 Mustangs monthly from a single facility. Germany's combined national production across all fighter types reached 318 aircraft monthly. A single American factory produced more fighters than our entire nation. This disparity extended to every aspect of war production: aluminum, aviation fuel, ammunition, food, replacement parts, training fuel, everything. Dietrich continued, his voice steady with the calm of a man who had warned repeatedly and been ignored. "The bubble canopy eliminated the only tactical advantage German pilots retained after 1943. Our doctrine relied on attacking from blind spots, 6 o'clock low, 7 o'clock high, any angle where American pilots had limited visibility. The bubble canopy provided 360-degree visibility. Every surprise attack became visible seconds after initiation, allowing American pilots to counter before we reached firing range. Our tactics became obsolete overnight. Kill ratios reversed from 4, 1 in our favor, to 14, 1 in American favor within 6 weeks. By August 1944, the ratio reached 19, 1. This wasn't gradual decline. This was catastrophic collapse. The interrogator asked about German countermeasures. Dietrich laughed bitterly. "Countermeasures require resources we didn't possess. To match the bubble canopy, we would need to redesign every fighter cockpit, retool every manufacturing facility, retrain every pilot, and rewrite every tactical manual. This would require 6 months and suspension of all fighter production during the transition. We were losing 900 fighters monthly." 6 months without production would have eliminated Luftwaffe fighter defense completely. We were trapped. Continue producing obsolete fighters to maintain token defense, or suspend production to develop modern designs while American bombers destroyed Germany unopposed. Both options guaranteed defeat. Unteroffizier Karl Hartmann's testimony provided combat perspective. I survived from April 1944 to May 1945 by refusing to engage American P-51D fighters unless escape routes were certain. I watched 67 pilots in my unit die attempting tactics that worked in 1943 but became suicide in 1944. The Americans weren't better pilots. They were better equipped pilots. Their bubble canopy meant they saw everything. They knew where every threat was positioned. They could track multiple aircraft simultaneously. They hunted aggressively because they couldn't be surprised. We fled constantly because engaging meant death. Hartmann described the psychological impact. In March 1944, I flew confidently. German fighters were superior. German pilots were better trained. German tactics were proven effective. By July 1944, I flew terrified. Every mission might be my last because American pilots had technological advantages that made skill irrelevant. They saw attacks I considered invisible. They countered maneuvers I considered impossible to detect. They destroyed veteran pilots in seconds because bubble canopy visibility eliminated defensive options. Fighting them felt like fighting opponents with superhuman perception. The mathematics became unbearable. Every engagement might kill me while they faced minimal risk. Why die for a war already lost? Additional captured pilots provided consistent testimony. Oberleutnant Friedrich Weber, 23 victories before capture. We brought swords to a gunfight, then discovered the Americans had machine guns. The bubble canopy wasn't just better visibility. It was revolutionary combat awareness that changed every engagement parameter. They could fight outnumbered because they tracked all threats. They could attack aggressively because they couldn't be surprised. They could pursue confidently because superior visibility prevented ambush. We died in disproportionate numbers because our equipment was obsolete. Major Klaus Weber, formerly of Fighter Command Staff. American excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. They could lose 5 aircraft for every German fighter destroyed and still increase numerical advantage monthly. They threw away more material as waste than we produced as finished products. Their testing protocols consumed more ammunition than our combat operations. Their manufacturing exceeded our capacity by factors of 3 to 1, 5 to 1, even 12 to 1 in specific components. The bubble canopy was simply the tactical manifestation of overwhelming industrial superiority. Production statistics stated by captured personnel revealed the hopelessness of German situation. American monthly fighter production, 2,340 aircraft across all types, 400 P-51D Mustangs from single facility. German monthly fighter production, 318 aircraft across all types from entire national industry. Single American factory monthly output, 400 fighters. Entire German industrial capacity monthly output, 318 fighters. Americans replaced combat losses in 2.1 days. Germans required 9.7 days to replace equivalent losses. Americans operated with production surplus of 1,947 fighters monthly over losses. Germans operated with production deficit of 582 fighters monthly under losses. Hauptmann Dietrich's final testimony summarized the mathematical inevitability of defeat. By December 1944, kill ratios reached 19:1 in American favor. German fighter strength declined from 2,395 operational aircraft in January 1944 to 847 operational aircraft in December 1944. American fighter strength in Europe increased from 1,240 operational aircraft to 4,870 operational aircraft in the same period. The mathematics were absolute. We were losing fighters faster than we could produce them, while Americans were producing fighters faster than we could destroy them. The bubble canopy accelerated this mathematical certainty by 6 months. Without it, we would have lost by December 1945. With it, we lost by June 1945. The outcome was identical, the timeline simply compressed. The final question from American interrogators: could Germany have countered the bubble canopy advantage? Dietrich replied without hesitation. No, the bubble canopy was not a silver bullet weapon. It was the tactical expression of industrial superiority, so overwhelming that no tactical innovation could have mattered. You won the war in 1941 when you mobilized American industrial capacity for military production. We lost the war in 1941 when we invaded the Soviet Union without that capacity. The Bubble-Canopy simply made the mathematics visible to our pilots before headquarters admitted defeat. The Bubble-Canopy P-51D proved that democratic nations at war possess inherent advantages over totalitarian regimes. Free workers in American factories outproduced forced labor in German facilities by margins exceeding 3:1. Democratic cooperation between government, industry, and labor created production systems that totalitarian command economics could not match. Industrial abundance, built on voluntary cooperation and efficient resource allocation, buried ideological claims of Aryan superiority under 400 fighters monthly from a single factory. The tactical lesson was straightforward. Visibility equals survival. The Bubble-Canopy's 360-degree view eliminated blind spots that caused 73% of fighter pilot deaths in 1942-1943. Pilots who could see threats from any angle survived at rates 11 times higher than pilots with limited rearward visibility. The technological innovation cost $47 per aircraft to implement, the cost of Bubble-Canopy tooling divided by total production, yet increased pilot survival rates by 68%. This represented perhaps the highest return on investment in military technology during World War II. $47 to save lives worth decades of training and experience. The strategic lesson was production. Germany lost because they couldn't replace losses faster than America inflicted them. Kill ratios became irrelevant when American monthly production exceeded total German losses. The Luftwaffe could achieve 2:1 kill ratios, destroying 2 American fighters for every German loss, and still lose the war because American production was 6.4 times German production. The mathematics were absolute. Lose fighters slower than you can build them and you win. Lose fighters faster than you can build them and you lose, regardless of pilot skill or tactical superiority. March 15, 1944. Oberst Heinrich Müller had laughed at the Bubble-Canopy P-51D, calling it a desperate American modification that would fail against German fighter superiority. June 20, 1944. Heinrich Müller died at 13:27:28 hours when Bubble-Canopy P-51D pilot Captain James Foster shot him down in 41 seconds after Müller attempted an attack from what was no longer a blind spot. His mockery became history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 15,000 German pilots killed and Luftwaffe fighter defense destroyed by December 1944. The lesson remains: dismissing democratic nations as weak because they prefer peace or underestimating free people's productive capacity when mobilized for war invites catastrophic miscalculation. The Bubble-Canopy was not revolutionary technology. It was simple visibility improvement that, combined with overwhelming production capacity, eliminated German fighter effectiveness within 6 months. Industrial democracies at war possess advantages that ideology cannot overcome and production cannot match.